I put my finger on the trigger. That's
Fearless leader.
Welcome to the 205th episode of the Angry Cuddles podcast. This is actually episode 205.
Hey.
Back when we were streaming over E3, I totally forgot about 204, and I said that was 205. It's not. This is 205.
205 revisited.
200, and not just 205, 205. It's 205th podcast. It's a lot of them. We say that every week now. God damn, that's a lot of podcasts. Like every year, like, God damn, I'm old.
You know what?
That's a lot of podcast.
That makes us a pretty decent long runner because if we've been doing this, one episode a week.
It's about our 4-year anniversary.
Yeah.
For the podcast. I mean, we already had our webcomic anniversary, but
some people give up after like 6 months, and here we are. We're going on half a decade, man.
Because we don't know any better.
This Robert Koo said something in Penny Arcade TV that really stuck with me, and it's actually been the thing that's been driving this whole Angry Cuddles saga. Is that he said that they were asked, how did you become so successful? And Robert Koo from Penny Arcade said we were too stupid to quit. And so that's what I thought. I'm just, if one person watches us or if 100 people watch us, I'm just not going to stop doing it.
Yeah.
Until I
you guys
get
have shown
sick of doing
enormous tenacity.
Enormous amount of resilience. If you need to refresh your image there, you may have to. But we seem to be rolling and streaming just fine.
No, I picked up the chat room monitor and it said that the session had disconnected. So
I forgot a few things and I fixed them now. I do believe. So you should be able to hear us. With me, my name is Steven.
Hi, Tom.
I get so sidetracked now that we start because I normally have a spiel when we did Nerd Hierarchy.
But really we've been...
And now I just... Okay.
You're slacking off. You're letting it slide.
My name is Steven, and this episode is brought to you by a beer.
New Belgium Shift.
New Belgium
It's
Shift.
a pale ale.
My name is Steven. With me, as always, is a post-E3 depression. Joining me today is Madman Mike.
Hi.
Byronic Commando Chuck.
Hello.
And John Mosley.
Hello.
So is the depression because you're sad that you don't have the things they showed you yet?
Sort of. Oh, by the way, Hype Shroom has the night off.
Got a little too much work.
John, when we were doing the E3 coverage, we
I
the
saw
Hype
that.
Shroom in the middle, and we'd turn it on whenever we were excited, or if there was unjust excitement, Mike would reach over and turn it off.
I would turn it off.
Mike was in charge of undue hype. It's sort of, it's the Super Bowl of gamers.
That's what we got.
That's what we got. My friend Sarah said that on Facebook. I agree with her. So it's our thing. There's Gamescom. Yeah, there's Tokyo Game Show.
GDC.
No.
There's GDC.
No, I don't do Tokyo Game Show anymore.
You don't do it? You don't go?
And it's not.
Did they revoke your status?
I know. I'm such a high-standing member of the gaming community. Now, the Tokyo Game Show... I'm going to start a conversation here. It seems to me as though there's a lot of Japanese developers, like the big AAA Japanese developers, have kind of lost touch with the rest of the world, and they only seem to develop for themselves and people who identify with them.
I think that the main reason you even notice that is that Western developers in the past 10 years have really taken off into their own genre.
Yeah.
And so I don't think
it used to be when we were kids. I mean,
we could
all the games came from Japan.
And so I don't think it's so much a break of form from them. I think they're just sort of staying the course.
Yeah.
And it's more games for us.
Also, and some of them do, but a lot of them don't give a shit.
That's what I'm dealing with.
But it's because their customers don't give a shit
either.
No, they have, the PS3, the last generation console, is still outselling the Xbox One in Japan.
Oh yeah.
So it's just PlayStation over there, and they have their,
That's one of the reasons I'm so scared about the Final Fantasy VII remake. I'm so scared that we're never going to see a real, a Final Fantasy that we're interested in again.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to come up with anything new anymore.
No.
They're not going to try.
I don't think it's like new. I think it's like they gauge their games on like obscurity, and they gauge them on like and people buy them. People buy them up. Nom.
Yeah. So Square is basically the hipsters then.
Well, I think Square tries a little. There is who makes it?
Didn't you play some of those shitty games that like are the same thing kind of over and over again?
Tales?
Yeah.
Yeah, we played the Tales games. Yeah, we played
You
Tales
immediately
games.
got the answer right. That
those
should
games,
say something.
those
No,
games
but
I'd
one
say
of them
over
was
and
real
over again.
good, and then one of them Steven's told me about was
Yeah, so
horrific.
we started with Tales of Symphonia. That was the first one that we did, and then we went. We played a couple of Tales games after that, and I did not like them. The last one that I did enjoy was Tales of Vesperia. I mean, because it's still the same combat and stuff, but the story was unique and interesting. Tales, no, not Tales. Xenoblade Saga.
Yeah,
Xenogears.
Xenoblade,
yeah.
Xenogears
Xenogears.
Xenophage. The one that's on the Wii was really good.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Xenoblade Chronicles was excellent. And also, some of them are starting to branch out. There's
Valkyrie Blade.
Valkyria Chronicles?
Valkyrie Chronicles.
For the PlayStation?
Is that like that?
Valkyrie Profile?
No. Valkyrie Profile.
Valkyrie Profile, probably.
I was
Eventually we'll say a name that
they're all the same, whatever.
But do you guys remember a game called Drakengard?
Yes.
Drakengard.
It was on the PS2. There's a couple or three of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sort of like a Warriors kind of style of game, but with more RPG elements, sort of a hack and slashy kind of game, but with more RPG elements and a dragon.
Okay.
They did a spin-off of that series for 360 and PS3 called Nier. That's a spin-off of the Drakengard series, and I did not know that. And some people really loved it, but it had sort of its little cult kind of following thing. It was a very passionate group of cult followers, but it didn't do amazingly well.
Yeah.
Which is why it's a cult.
Nier 2 is being developed in conjunction with Platinum Games. For them to do the combat system, essentially. So there is actually a specific example of the traditional JRPG style sort of being mirrored with a... I'm not sure how Western Platinum really is, if at all, but they have sort of that action-y sensibility.
What has Platinum done?
They did... I think they are Bayonetta. I think they are Mad World on Wii.
Fairly Western.
Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Fairly Western.
Revengeanator.
Which I have on Steam, and I should probably start streaming that.
Yeah. Do some Steam stream.
I'm making a list, like a Mikado list, basically.
Going to find out if you're naughty or nice.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Okay, so let's do a quick E3 recap. What was the just your quick, your best? I want you to give me your favorite announcement, and I want you to give me your best of E3 award, which can be two different things, or the same thing.
Okay.
Just your favorite announcement, and it doesn't have to be a game. A game doesn't have to win your best of E3 award. It can be, this announcement was the best thing of E3. So, I guess I will start. My favorite announcement was the Shenmue 3 announcement.
See, I was going to ask you about that, because you're the only person that's ever told me anything about that game.
Did you see... Did
you see the video?
I posted a video of game trailers where they were doing this sort of live stream of they were sitting there while the E3 press conference was going on. And I posted on Facebook. One of the guys there, they're watching it and they're talking about it, and it shows the Kickstarter logo. And one of the girls was like, "Oh, is this Edo or the Blood game, the Castlevania, Kickstarter game?" Like, "Oh yeah. I bet it's the Castlevania thing." Man, that got a shitload of money really fast. And then the cherry blossom petals come across the screen, and immediately one of the guys goes, "Oh my fucking god!" Like rips off his headset. He's jumping around. He's like hugging his friend there, like, "Oh my god!" And he's continuing to yell while it says, like, Shenmue 1 and 2 were left unanswered. And he's just screaming and going nuts. And what I did was, when it said Shenmue 1 and 2 when I'm finished, I went, "Yes!" And, lifted my arms in the air. And that was the beginning and end of my outward reaction. But watching him react to that was sort of like my inner...
Yeah, how you felt, like,
that's
your spirit animal.
And I mentioned this to a couple of you over the week, but now that the week has gone by, and I've been able to reflect back. Final Fantasy VII Remake was a very exciting announcement. The Last Guardian gameplay was a very exciting thing. But looking back, here's why I think that the two biggest announcements at E3 were Xbox One backwards compatibility and Shenmue 3.
And in case he didn't catch that, when he mentioned backwards compatibility, he looked directly into my eyes because he knows me.
And here's why those were important. Shenmue was dead.
Yeah.
We've been urging and rumbling, and the fans have been yelling at them at Yu Suzuki for a long time. And Yu Suzuki said that one of the reasons that he decided to really do this, besides finding Kickstarter as a viable option, which Sony is actually backing like the rest of that game. Shenmue was a $70 million game. Shenmue 3 was asking for $2 million. That's not going to cover a Shenmue game. Sony is helping with that. Now, they could raise anywhere from $5 to $10 million in the Kickstarter, but that's still 1/7 of what Shenmue was. So, you know, which is also why it may not be coming to Xbox One, but it is coming to PC and PS4.
Excellent.
Anyway, Shenmue was dead, and it is now back, and that was a very big and exciting and unexpected announcement. Backwards compatibility is a big deal because when they launched both the PS4 and the Xbox One, they were asked about backwards compatibility, and they both said it can't be done. With the architecture that we have, it's just
not
impossible. It's not feasible. And then this year they were like, we figured out a way to do it. They talked to Yoshida, I think, of one of the Sony heads, and they said, so now that Microsoft's done this, what's Sony's plan for backwards compatibility? And he said, we don't have one. We don't know how the fuck they did that. It could be black goddamn magic for all I know.
Don't update your Xboxes. Don't update your Xboxes.
And so that was a big deal. Here's why I'm not so keen on, although I am glad they were there, of The Last Guardian Final Fantasy Remake. Final Fantasy Remake is still a remake. Mm-hmm. It was a transcendent game at the time, and it may very well be just a top-notch game on PS4, and it's going to sell
a billion copies.
Billion, yeah. A Nathan billion of copies.
Even if it's terrible, it's just going to sell
billions, a million billion. It's going to sell billions of copies. And that's great. It should. It was a great game. But it's a remake.
Yeah.
It is not an original idea. And I do, fair or not, you get a little bit of a handicap, a check back, because you're not an original idea. Mm-hmm. The Last Guardian, happy to see some gameplay. It looks like a PS3 game.
That shit's not coming out.
They didn't give me a release date. They said 2016, which I appreciate.
There are a lot of days in 2016.
There's a lot of days in 2015 still.
There's a lot. It was non-committal, and moreover, it was a re-announcement. It wasn't even
6 years from the original
some more
announcement.
Gameplay. It was just like, we're doing this.
We've seen gameplay from that game
before.
Okay,
so prior to the announcement at E3, when was the last time we saw anything about a Final Fantasy VII remake?
Nothing.
Never.
They have vehemently denied it since they did that PS3 tech demo.
Yeah. The PS3 tech demo. PS3 tech demo.
Yeah, but if you look at that PS3 tech demo, it does not look like the remake.
I'm not saying it looks like the remake. What I'm saying is look at the big gap of time between the last two times we heard anything about Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, sure. It's roughly the gap of time we had with Last Guardian. But both of those things have had roughly the same gap. And one of them is, okay, we're actually doing the thing that we misled you about years ago. And The Last Guardian was, again, I'm glad it was there. I'm not trying to diminish that announcement. I'm just saying that these are things that we've already had. We were already told about. Yeah. And in Final Fantasy VII, yes, we weren't told about a remake. They said they weren't doing a remake.
Yes.
But we already have Final Fantasy VII. Like, it's already a thing that exists. So that's why I'm just kind of... So
on Steam right now?
My favorite announcement was Shenmue 3. I think my best
of E3... You think they're
going
to have forklifts?
They better.
Yeah, actually, he
How about
he
a game
was
of
trying
Lucky
to
Hits?
find a way to include the forklift in some way that's not boring.
Okay.
Because the way it was included...
Spit take averted.
So I love the Shenmue series. But there's a lot of those games that's kind of boring bullshit. Throwing that out there. Petting
cats.
Petting cats.
How about a game of Lucky Hit?
Lucky Hit was great. I love Lucky Hit.
Hey, man.
Could you tell me where I can find some sailors?
The sailors was a problem. Sailors took... Oh, god damn, that took forever. Sailors, forklift job, stacking books,
Innovative gameplay.
buying shit,
Playing Outrun.
The coin machine.
The coin machine.
Yeah.
Where I walk up to the coin machine to purchase some figures, and there's a small child there. He goes, "Hey, mister, I want a toy. Would you buy me a toy?" And I said, "No, not today." And then proceeded to buy myself a toy and open it up in front of him and look at it and then walk away.
You're a horrible human being. You're a horrible human being.
My God.
I have a certain amount of money. I needed that shit.
And of course, they probably didn't program that sort of thing.
The kid didn't have a reaction.
Exactly.
Or
So
anything.
you just want.
Other than like the "aw" when I told him to fuck off,
Yeah.
initially. But when you go through your house, this was the revolutionary gameplay. Was sort of that Oblivion-y, like you can go through every drawer and look, and you kind of have to. It's an investigative kind of thing where if you're in your house and someone called, you go over to the phone and you have to leaf through the call log or whatever of your messages.
Gave you.
Yeah, to get through shit. And people like me, really got into that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. That's good.
So there's that. But okay, so that was my favorite announcement was Shenmue. My best in show, I think, goes to it's real close. It's either backwards compatibility or I think Horizon, the post-apocalyptic game where you're tribal and hunting robot dinosaurs. And I know that sounds fucking crazy, but it looks really, really good.
That sounds really cool.
All right, a quick word on tribal. So I was like, oh, this looks really cool. Like, the tribes, post-apocalyptic, now there's tribes again.
Yeah.
Coming
Cycled
back to civilization.
Yeah.
And it looks really great. It's cool, a good idea. And then, what the hell? Robot dinosaurs? Where did that come from? I felt really...
Made of
I
transforming.
felt like that was sort of out of left field. I mean, I'm sure that there's a logical explanation for it in the game.
Robot fucking dinosaurs. There's your explanation.
About, what made them or anything like that. A scientific explanation other than the word robot fucking dinosaurs as the explanation. So,
what more explanation do we need?
I'm sure
A robot dinosaur
normal.
is its own reward.
Bam.
Yeah, but I just want to know why. For my favorite announcement,
Yes.
of course, as to probably no surprise, was Dark Souls.
Dark Souls?
Yeah. The third iteration of Dark Souls
3
was announced. And
Dark Souls 3!
Bloodborne came out this year.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. I'm actually a little worried because now we've got Dark Souls 2, 2014, Bloodborne 2015, Dark Souls 3, 2016. They're starting to get that yearly release schedule that we were all.
Is it two different teams? Like one team doing every other game?
The Dark Souls 2, I think, did not have the same, at the very least, director of one, because when I was reading the article about Dark Souls 3, they said the director from Dark Souls was returning to 3.
And Bloodborne was made by something
Same
else?
studio.
It's the same studio.
Okay.
But maybe a different team in that studio. So there's that. That was my favorite. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Apparently the gameplay's more like Dark Souls, but with more variety, and I like more variety, more options in combat. My best in show announcement. I'm gonna stick to my guns here. Holograms.
Yeah.
HoloLens looks so pretty.
Man, it looks good.
Yeah.
Man, it looks good. I'm so glad you talked about it, because, man.
Seeing the holograms actually made me pick up my my 360 Minecraft again.
Oh, my God. Dude, when he drags, I just,
That was actually the same reaction I had the whole time.
When he peeks into the house and the blocks sort of go away and she's just standing in there, I'm like,
hello.
Yeah, I was sitting right there.
They're grabbing that poor guy. I would just like to give a big old shout out to that cameraman who has the HoloLens on his camera and he's looking at. Yeah. And I've seen that trailer 5 or 6 times, and they literally have to guide him in because he's so disoriented.
I feel like he leaned in and someone had to hold the back of his shirt.
No, they did.
I'm going in. You can't stop me. Yeah, I was sitting there.
All that stabilizing equipment he has,
yeah,
it's just good. It's too good.
I was actually sitting there like, as soon as like it went to the camera view, I was like, oh god, oh yes. And it was just amazing.
And it just zooms out, and he's like, "Oh yeah, look under you." Whoop! And I'm like, "Okay."
And so it knows where his eyes are looking, so you don't have to like. I want
Lightning
you to do
strike.
this point.
Your
You can
eyes are
just
the
look
mouse.
and
Yeah.
give a command, and it'll do it there. So that's nice. Very good.
Can you imagine like just playing as a god on some PvP servers, like lightning bolt, lightning bolt?
I'm taking Mark to a brand new level, motherfuckers. All right, you're gonna have to go before me, John, because all I saw was the Xbox presentation. That's all, and
You
frankly,
can go
I'm surprised I saw that much. I saw the entirety of the Xbox presentation, and then I saw two things. I saw two things from Wii, from Nintendo.
The Star Fox thing just... So we didn't cover a lot of Nintendo stuff on our podcasts because mostly I don't give a shit.
We're not the target demographic anymore.
That's more or less what John said, actually. That said, I did a little bit of reading on the Star Fox announcement, and the way that they utilize the gamepad is that when you're playing on your TV, it is in third person. If you want to see first person, you look down at your gamepad.
Oh.
No.
If it's Slippy's, I just want Slippy's face just sitting there staring at me.
You're fucking creeping me out, Rob.
And you have to use the first person to do precise shots. So they said, for example, one of the examples that Destructoid gave was if you have to fly over an enemy and then use your first person to look down to fire from top to bottom.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
That'd be cool.
They said that the learning curve is actually quite steep.
I imagine.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's sort of a thing that I like to hear from Nintendo, is we're going to make this a little more complicated.
Yeah.
Because the easier and more accessible they make games, the less likely I am to give a shit.
Yes.
It's not that I won't, it's just I'm not likely.
I'm still waiting for that title to come out. It's like, you should buy a Wii U.
Yeah.
It just hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened yet. Star Fox is the first... So I need 3 or 4 exclusive games to sell me a system.
Like, okay, so we got Smash Brothers, and I want to play that. I do. We got that Splatoon game.
Splatoon.
Yeah, I want to play that game.
Yeah.
And I've heard Mario Kart's fun. But like, I need like 2 more solid things before I'm like, I don't know. Is that how you feel?
I don't care about Smash Brothers because I bought Smash Brothers when it came out, and we played it kinda, but we all bought it, and so I figured I'd just let our friend Glenn bought it, and I'll just go play it at his house when we play it. I think we're gonna play this Saturday. Actually.
Oh, excellent.
So come and play.
Okay.
But
I've never played it.
Like I don't need to get it because somebody owns it.
Yeah.
And we'll go play theirs. If they have, if they show Star Fox, and if they had showed a Metroid. A Metroid Prime kind of game, and they showed their Guardian Federation Fuckfest.
Like you'd think the
Ball Blast,
the Wii U, like the ability to like find things,
to scan
like
and
that,
shit.
That
Like
just
it's
seems
right
like,
for
it's right there.
Gamepad play.
You know what that should be? Now that I think about it, if you're going to do that, how about Fatal Frame?
They did announce Fatal Frame.
Really?
Yes.
For the Wii?
Yes, for the Wii U. Yes, they announced another Fatal Frame title.
See, like I said, I didn't watch anything.
Yeah, but
I heard 2 announcements.
But
from...
of the announcements that you've heard, what was your best of, and what was your?
Okay, I'm going to preface my Nintendo stuff. They will not be winning any awards because they got the one that would have gotten an award already got its award. I saw 2 announcements from Nintendo.
Can't get 2. Can't get 2 awards.
Can't get 2
Hang
awards.
on. The first announcement was
Meryl Streep?
Ryu and Roy on Smash. They brought Roy back,
Ryu?
and then they added Ryu from Street Fighter.
Roy boy.
Street Fighter to a Nintendo game.
Yes.
Okay.
And he plays like a Smash Brothers
Fearless
character.
Mantis. Hello, I'm jumping in here, Chuck.
Hey, there you are.
Hello,
I've
I've been
Fearless
sitting over
Mantis.
here monitoring
Monitoring chat. Of chatter. Hello.
I've had to
How are
restart
you?
this thing like
Yeah,
6
it's
times because it keeps like dying and quitting out. So
Yeah, our stream's a little wonky.
Maybe it doesn't like you.
all right, so yeah, he
It's
plays. Ryu plays like a regular Smash Brothers character, or you can put in the inputs from the original game. and depending on how long you hold the attack button is how powerful the attack is. So, and in fact, if you do the original,
So
you can. if you do the original input for the game, you will do a more powerful version of the attack anyway. So it would behoove you to learn how to play Street Fighter 2 now. And yes, Street Fighter 2
just
because
overused moves.
Turbo?
yeah, I would go with Turbo because
Turbo,
he moves
Alpha,
about that fast.
Alpha Plus.
Oh my god, both of you
Super.
stop.
Street Fighter?
Okay, so yeah, I got
Turbo Alpha?
I got super duper happy about that, but the next one I saw was they're porting over Mother 1.
Chuck's an Earthbounder.
See, okay. So I haven't played Earthbound and I haven't played Shenmue, but everything I hear about this game makes me go,
Why do you like this?
because it's like Steven telling me his forklift escapades.
Oh
And
my
I'm like-
god! So let me do that real quick. So in the first Shenmue, you have to get a job because you're investigating the death of your father, and there's a gang at the yard that you're trying to come into contact with. So I get to the yard, I get my job as a forklift driver, I start driving a forklift. It tells me to take it from warehouse 4 to warehouse 9 or whatever. And so I get the shit from warehouse 4, and it shows me a little route, and I'm like, well, fuck that route. It's much faster to go this way. So I just did my little shortcut, and I take it to 9. Day ends. You have to go back and go to sleep, stuff like that. It's all like a life simulator kind of a thing. Go back, go to sleep. Next day, go to work. Same thing. Take it from 4 to 9. Oh, same assignment as yesterday. Okay, that's fine. I can do this lickety-split. So I take a bunch of shit over there. I think I'm getting paid the whole time. Like, I think you make money.
Yeah.
Like, your character makes money. But I do this for days on end. Both in-game days and out-of-game days. I'm like, why the fuck is this game not, like, progressing? What am I doing wrong? And so, after an unacceptable amount of time, I finally decide to take the route they specifically laid out for me to tell me to go.
Scripted event.
And then the scripted event occurs where I meet the gang
On
and
the
shit
route.
happens. And oh my fucking god.
What happened the first time?
Would have happened the first time.
Okay.
Son of a bitch.
That's fair.
But yeah, I love that game.
The thing about me and Earthbound...
So are they porting Mother over to...
Yes, it is 8-bit. Mother 1 is going from 8-bit
To the Wii.
to the Wii U Virtual Console.
Okay.
Which I think the Virtual Console now is 3DS and Wii U. Like, I think all that's the same shit, isn't it?
I think so.
It said...
Because pretty much,
Yeah.
I can... The 3DS, because I have a 3DS, I use it all the time. The 3DS Virtual Console library is robust.
Yes.
So...
There must be, if not every game being played, most of them, I imagine. So, you have a 3DS, don't you?
Not anymore. I had to sell it to pay rent.
I've done that before.
Reality ensoos.
I sold my the original DS, like the original DS.
Oh, yeah, like
like
the
the
silver
big
one with
gray
the-
silver
yeah,
honker.
A brick from the 70s.
It was actually signed by the cast of Red vs. Blue.
You had to sell that?
I ended up selling it because after they signed it, like a few years later, the signatures began to fade, and I realized that.
You should have not been playing it as often as you were.
Well, I didn't really play it much. I didn't take any actions to preserve the signatures. It was actually my girlfriend's at the time's
I saw
DS,
that.
and
Yeah.
but anyway, so you
I have
your favorite announcement was what? Mother or backwards compatibility? Forza 6, I know, sort of tinkled your testicles.
Yeah, because I'm a big fan of racing games.
Yeah, help yourself, John.
And he just ducks like a ninja.
Goodbye.
Excellent job.
John heading to beer is a fun thing to see.
My favorite announcement had to have been the backwards compatibility.
Okay,
But
favorite
the-
announcement backwards.
But it didn't get best in show for me because they didn't really show it off that well, and they didn't make a big deal about it.
There was a subsequent announcement where they showed what it does.
I saw.
Okay, so
I
you
saw
saw Larry
that,
Bird.
but I didn't see that live.
Okay,
If I had
but
seen that
it was an
live-
E3 announcement, though.
It was an
part of
E3
it.
announcement. You didn't see that
You
live.
can have
didn't
whatever
see that in front of
technicalities
all
in your
those
awards
people.
you want.
If they had shown that,
I wasn't in the
those
room. Fuck it.
You know what? I'm kind of right there anyway because everybody makes such a big damn deal about backwards compatibility and you don't need to do it. Like, are you sure now?
the way that it looks though is it runs the game.
Does it run it in a ROM? Because that'd be awesome.
It might as well.
It is an emulation.
Well.
They are emulating the 360.
That's cool.
Yeah. So when you hit whatever the home button or guide button is or whatever, you have access to all your Xbox One functionality. I believe you can go home. You can stream through Twitch.
Yep.
Take screenshots and video and stuff like that, like on Xbox One. While playing on Xbox One, if you're playing a 360 title, you can play with people multiplaying on their 360s. So you can do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a cool thing.
And when I guess if you hit the guide button once, or I'm not sure how they bring it up, but they bring up, how the window comes up on your 360 if you hit the guide button with the little blades and whatever.
Yeah.
That comes up.
Cool.
When you're playing a 360 game, to go to your friends and to do that stuff that you would have done, because it's emulating a 360. So
interesting.
That's kind of neat.
Okay, so that was your favorite, and your best in show goes to
Hologram.
HoloLens.
Yeah, that looked amazing. That looked fucking amazing, and the kind of the kind of technical expertise that went into actually showing that live without having a bunch of people line up single file. Like they rigged up camera, and then got an extra set of glasses and put glasses in front of camera, and then used camera like you would, and then you could actually see it on the television screen, and that's the way it's supposed to look. God, I hope that's the way it's supposed to look. Yes.
Man, and you can't see the guy through the hologram. Like the guy that's standing behind it, you can't see him like through it. It's like solid.
So I'm pretty specific when I'm looking at tech, and there's a point where he's sort of dragging it, and it didn't look exact.
Perfect.
It didn't look perfect. Which
Do you think it was scripted? Because I was really
that's
scared
one
it was
thing.
scripted.
That's my fear.
I'm always afraid of that.
That's my fear. A lot of things at E3 are scripted.
Because it's such a big deal. They don't want it to where he grabs it and it just shuts down and you're like,
Batman. The guy that showed No Man's Sky, one of the developers of don't know the name of the studio that's doing No Man's Sky, said that he was afraid because he went to a random planet, and he actually went to a random planet. He was afraid that when you find a place for the first time, it randomly generates a name, and he didn't want a name like Fuckhead or Cockblocks or whatever to be randomly generated. Yeah. He said there are safeguards in place to prevent a planet from being named Fuckhead, but it could have been, Fukhedl, which is close enough for people to see Fuckhead.
Fuquede.
But so we did Chuck, we did me, we got you.
Mm-hmm. Real quick secondary note. The close second in Best in Show, just the implications that it brings, is mods in Fallout 4.
That
big damn deal.
Mods in Fallout 4 being on the Xbox One.
So if you have a PC...
Maybe PS4, they didn't say.
If there was a mod that would go into Fallout 4 on the PC, those mods will work on your Xbox One version of Fallout 4.
And they said that... they said that there are things that they don't allow.
Like killing kids?
Pornography, for example.
Okay.
Making all the girls in the game...
topless
and topless.
There are some things that just they don't do, but they said for the most part they don't want to really put many restrictions in place. They want to keep it as open. If this mod breaks your fucking game and deletes your saves, bummer.
That's on you, buddy.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. That's PC world. That's what they deal with.
Yeah, this is what we deal with on a daily basis.
That's America, folks. That actually, I'm glad that you said that, because that is actually a very big damn deal. So
from
what you've heard, favorite announcement and best in show.
So my best in show announcement is Fallout 4. The fact that they were like, oh, and by the way, November, and I was like,
that's how you do that. If Last Guardian said, by the way, November, like, okay, you got it. You got it.
They were like, we showed the teaser 2 weeks ago, and by the way, November,
and we're almost done.
Yeah.
And they were like 700 plus mods for your weapons, like 300 plus unique weapon. Like
that was pretty.
That trailer of just gameplay, and it's like set to like the old timey music. I was like, this, I want this.
Yeah, Fallout 4 is a pre-order game for me.
Man,
most games aren't. Fallout 4 is a pre-order game. You ordered it through Steam?
Yeah.
Are you gonna get the Pip-Boy?
I don't think.
I guess
so.
you're doing a digital version.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
No, I don't think I'm gonna Pip-Boy.
Have you guys been playing the mobile game?
I can't
I
because
just
it's
got it.
iOS only.
I just got it, and I'm going to. I haven't started it yet.
It's not hard. It's not easy.
They
Okay,
announced it
cool.
for Android, but it's not on Android yet. It'll be a few months.
That Fallout, man, they just knocked it out of the park. That gets my like best in show.
Okay,
Awesome.
that's
super
a solid.
excited about
That's a
that
solid
game.
one though. They
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, they really.
They
I
aced
mean,
it.
they did such a good job. And them bringing out like all the features. You had no idea. None of us even knew about this game.
Yeah.
And they just kept it
Yeah,
under
2 weeks
secret,
ago. Yeah,
and they just rolled this
they
thing
did keep
out.
it pretty well, didn't they?
Man, and the customizable buildings thing, that
Make your
showcase.
base. Yeah, make bases.
Man, it's exciting. I'm very excited.
And your favorite announcement?
My favorite
It can be
announcement.
the same thing.
I fucking hate that my favorite announcement is Last Guardian, but it's Last Guardian because
Okay, so you were excited to see it again. No, that's
yeah.
good.
I mean, I am.
I'm for that being everyone's favorite announcement if that's what it is. I'm fine with Final Fantasy VII Remake being your favorite announcement.
Yeah.
My lobby to you guys was that those two things should not be eligible for a Best in Show because
Yes.
it's not original. Or,
Exactly.
Or whatever.
My favorite game of all time is Shadow of the Colossus.
Mhm.
That's my favorite game, and I love that team. Ico is a good game. They tell a good story. They use mechanics of
I always
gameplay as a method of
I
storytelling.
thought it was Eco.
It's Team Ico, so I
I
assume.
think I think it's actually supposed to be Team
Ico?
Ico.
Oh, I don't
Even
know.
though I
I've always
pronounced it
said
Ico
Ico.
a
You
lot.
can. I think it's such that you could claim that you're not mispronouncing it so much as a regional dialect
Yeah.
That's fair.
or a regional accent.
I
or
mean, it kind of
Yeah.
is.
All I'm saying is it's Japanese. So
Scion
Those guys.
in Japanese is Shion. So there you go.
It's Last Guardian. Did that thing gonna die?
Oh,
Like 100% that thing's gonna die?
100% that
Okay.
thing is going to
110%.
die. And you're going to be able to save it
You're
and not
gonna-
be able
you're
to
gonna
save it.
Cry.
no, I think
cry,
you're probably
cry.
not going to be able to save it, and that will be the impetus for, I don't know, 2/3 of the game.
No, I think
Maybe you'll
what's
find
gonna,
a baby one. After the cutscene.
It's gonna Groot it.
Yeah.
You're
Aww.
gonna get Grooted.
You get to raise your own Last Guardian.
I think it's gonna be good. It's gonna give you because the important thing about that team, the important thing about those games is like they do things that you can only do in a game. They tell a story that can only
That
be
can't
told
be done, yeah.
in a game.
Otherwise.
They give you sense of control, even if that control isn't there. They give you that sense of control, and that being taken away is like you don't have that when you go see a movie. You don't have that when you read a book. I think that's an important thing to continue having in the dialogue of our culture.
And they've done a really good job of stripping out like HUD elements and stuff for the
Mm-hmm.
most part, and just letting you be.
Man, nothing. Yeah.
And that was one of the things that they were saying with Horizon, that the PS3 game about robot dinosaurs,
Mhm.
was they said that they're not tutorializing the game and they're not talking about the story.
Yeah.
That stuff, that the reason why of robot dinosaurs, those kind of things, they just want you to play the game and figure it out. So,
Fair enough. Have any of you guys?
the reason there's a funny look on their faces is because my goddamned Xbox One heard me talking and pulled the stream down to go search for.
You know what? You're going to talk about Sony so
FIFA
fucking much.
or whatever.
Eh.
So, what the fuck ever.
The important thing to take away from E3 for me is that I am very, very close to buying a PS4.
Mhm.
Because I want to play. I said back when it was supposed to be PS3 that I was going to buy a PS3 for Last Guardian.
Mhm.
And so having that now be a PS4 title, like that is a system seller for me.
Okay.
And I hate that it's been so rigmarole and shitty about it, but like seeing that gameplay again, I was like, yeah,
You're
Watch
still
as
as
this-
excited as you were.
I need to play that game in the relevancy because I want to have that conversation with other people
It's going to...
before it becomes outdated and outmoded. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
well, if you talk like that, then the number one fear I have for The Last Guardian is going to be Duke Nukem Forever. It took so long in development that when it finally came out, like...
It's just
But
a
also,
joke.
dude,
Okay,
had
so
like 10
look
different
at-
studios over it.
Yeah, look at Shadow of the Colossus. That game is beautiful in a PS2 kind of way.
Yeah.
You look at that game, you're like, yeah, this was made on the PS2
sure,
engine.
whatever.
It's fine.
I don't know. I would argue that Shadow of the Colossus, along with Metal Gear Solid 3, are titles that were beautiful at the time and continue to be beautiful. They are
As long
still
as
beautiful
you
games.
keep them in that reference point.
I don't even think you need to do that.
Okay.
I think that Final Fantasy VII is actually a specific game about where, yes, this game is beautiful and transcendent back then, which is why, because I started with 9 and then I went back to
man.
7 and I was
9
like,
is a
this
pretty
is a
game.
piece of shit.
Yeah.
Was what my reaction
No, yeah.
was when I played
And
the first
Final
time.
Fantasy VIII is like, I've been playing through Final Fantasy VIII again, and like, just the out of cutscene scenes, I'm like, man, these sprites look rough.
Yeah.
For reference, I started with Final Fantasy 1, so I remember when it was squat little dudes with lots of red.
But even going back and playing Final Fantasy 1, I think that game is beautiful and continues to be beautiful because it stayed. You know,
It did.
That staying power, I think, is there. Where it's like, oh,
Not only that, but every
look at the 8-bit detail.
but the revamps that it's had over the years don't really stray too far away from what it was.
Yeah.
It was a very simple style, and you can recreate that with additional. You know, you can revamp that, but you can still
It's
keep
like,
the
you know,
heart.
restoring an antique table. It's like, it's still the antique table, and it's still beautiful, and you can see the cracks and stuff in it, but it is still beautiful.
Right.
Whereas, like I said, Final Fantasy
So,
VII, and to a lesser extent, Eco, is like, that's old looking.
To talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake, just real quick, do you think Bumblebee Manor is going to be in it? Do you think they're going to remake it true?
Manor? What was that?
It's when Cloud dresses up as a girl
Oh.
and seduces a dude.
They better.
I
That's part of the main game.
It is part of the main game.
There's a lot of weird. Okay,
They
so
said
here's,
they said they're changing a lot
exactly.
of shit, though.
So here's my thing about the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, no.
Just real quick, is that there are a lot of things in that game that are weird as fuck.
Uh-huh.
And there are a lot of things in the game where Cloud has these personal realizations, and if you remember, the sprite has eyes, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just a polygon nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He has a lot of personal realizations in that game where he realizes what he is and what he has done, and the truth in that is mainly left to your imagination, and so it's hard to compare to that. But I'm worried about the new kind of Cloud model where he's not like, hey, I'm a soldier, let's go. He's sort of like, you know, like
No.
He was one of the originals, though. At least in that era of sort of emo characters, and you can lump as many characters as you want into that.
Well,
you
was
can
he
throw
really
Raiden
emo,
in there. You
or
can
was
throw
he
Titus in there.
Was he
Squall.
just like
Squall
effed up
was
in the
emo
head.
as fuck.
Yes.
I mean,
Okay,
Squall.
so maybe
Squall
Cloud
was
is not-
black guy liner, Panic at the Disco emo, man. Just
I like
Ugh.
Squall
let's
just
all calm
fine.
the fuck down for a second, Chuck.
You just described me.
I know.
But you may be right. You know, Cloud being less emo and more.
Cloud got. I feel
Fucked
like
up.
Cloud was just fucked up in the head, and then
Yeah.
and then that interpretation of him as time went on was like, oh, that's like emo, and so people.
Exactly. That,
Put him
and I
there.
don't want it to be that. And Advent Children, before the cut, that is understandable, I felt was very much this, like, I'm an emo dude, I don't really know what's going on, but I guess.
No.
Yeah.
But the cut actually made it the
complete edition.
complete
Yeah.
edition.
Yeah.
Which is how you should watch
We mentioned that before, but if you're going to go watch Advent Children, and I suggest that you do watch it, don't bother with the not complete edition. Just find the complete edition, which was the Blu-ray release, but, you know, they have that version on download and stuff now. Don't watch the original one. The original one's a piece of shit.
It is.
It really is. The complete edition is
where it's
a
at, yeah.
wholly different and much better film.
Yeah.
And it is different. It's not just
Yeah.
the unrated
It's very
version where they
different.
added in a few things and
No,
blood droplets. It's a different
it's
fucking
like
film.
cut totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not, because you had told me that, I did not believe the extent that it was
Yeah.
like.
Whatever,
We were watching
Steven.
because we bought it on Blu-ray because it's like, oh, this will be pretty, and I liked Advent Children the first time I saw it, the original version. I liked it. It was like, eh.
Yeah.
So I watched it, and some scenes go on longer, and then there's whole other shit involving the kids, and I was like, whoa, I give a shit now.
I
gives
get
you
this.
what's happening.
Yeah.
My point, and I've made this a few times in terms of remakes and reboots and stuff like that, is if you're not going to change a lot of shit, don't bother. Just go back and replay Final Fantasy VII. Just go back and play it again.
Yes.
If you're going to remake it, if you're going to go through the effort,
A remake.
bring me a new game. New game.
Give me an example. Okay, so my example is Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm.
They've changed a lot of things about that game inherently. There's a lot of things that are still the same, and it's still not only is the graphic overhaul,
Like the
but
3DS version?
You mean 3DS version?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Is that though?
I don't know.
haven't played it.
The dungeons, everything, there are differences where I'm like, oh, this is where you do this. I'm like, oh, no. Okay, I see.
Interesting.
And it takes you a second because it's different.
Now, is this a result of them changing things in the game, or is this a result of some pretty shoddy memory having been replaced by other games
No.
since the N64
No.
era?
No,
That would be
possible.
my thing, because I played Ocarina of Time once, and that was
I
fine
like
with it.
I played Ocarina of Time several times, and it's much like the Master Quest. If you guys played that,
Yeah.
I
it
watched
was-
Mike play some of it.
It could be that they took elements
I
of
bet
Master
they
Quest
did.
and added that in.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
So,
So, yeah.
I'm trying to actually think of a
I know-
game remake or a game reboot that was too
How
faithful.
different? Okay, let's say that I didn't play a lot of the PS1 version of Resident Evil.
Uh-huh.
I played a little bit of it. I was a scared kid. I was like 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the dog's busting through. I was like, no, fuck you, get out of here.
I'm done.
How true is that remake to the actual game?
It is faithful
Mm-hmm.
and different.
It is beautiful.
And it strikes that balance of it's sort of so in the original PS1 you walk down the hall and the dogs burst in and scares the shit out of you. In the GameCube version you go down that hall and nothing happens. Actually I think a little chip comes out of the window and but nothing happens. And then you
Jesus.
go do other shit and on your way back through they bust through the window. The Crimson Heads were not in the original one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Setting them on fire, not in the original whatsoever. That whole mechanic was new for
That's
the
a
game.
scary mechanic.
There are new rooms and new puzzles and stuff, but if you've played Resident Evil, you sort of get, like, okay, we're going to do the mansion, and then we're going to do the courtyard, and then we're going to do the guest house, and then the underground laboratory.
Link Between Worlds did the same thing. I picked it up thinking, oh, cool, this is going to be a faithful representation of the world from A Link to the Past, but with a brand new mechanic involved, and then you just watch as it just goes further and further and further and further off the rails of the original game.
To your delight?
To both, actually.
To your
my-
delight and dismay?
Yeah,
Well,
to
you
my
know,
delight and my
I never
dismay.
thought
'cause
that
that's-
game's supposed to be a remake of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
I-
When you go to the Dark World, the whole fucking thing is just on its head.
I thought when they announced the game, I think is what Mike is saying.
When they announced the game, I was like, oh, that's the same world, but obviously not the same game.
Yeah,
so
it's
things are
not
going
not
to
intended to
different.
be a remake.
Yeah.
It's not the same world.
Yeah.
It's not the same world.
It's not.
Okay.
Similar. But it's not the same.
It looks similar enough, at least on the light side.
Oh, so multiverse. It's like really close in the multiverse
Yeah.
realm.
And
I can do it easily with movies. I'm trying to actually think.
Who knows?
A lot of game
Remake,
reboots
Jesus.
and game remakes actually have done a pretty good job of what you may say remaining faithful while just making a whole new game. So maybe I'm worrying really over nothing. But I'm thinking of movies where they remake movies and it's so close to the original, like Old Boy. And you're like, if you were gonna remake a movie or make an American version, like do
Make it
something
different.
fucking different.
Yeah.
Book adaptations into films were like the Harry Potter series was my complaint with them was that they were just so close to the book.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna read the fucking book.
Exactly. Thank you.
Game of Thrones and does I think
Man, it does such
I
a
don't
good
know because I
job.
haven't read it, and also no second half season 5 spoilers here because I haven't gotten
No,
there.
but they deviate from the books in such like delightful ways.
delightful?
Well, Chuck had a post about
I
Game
think
of
it's
Thrones.
amazing. I think it's incredible. I've read through those books 3 times.
and you're happy to see
Oh, super
that
happy.
world in a new light, in a
Yes.
new way, with a new interpretation.
And condensed down for my viewing pleasure.
Yeah.
not just like
maybe,
shit-ass characters.
Maybe I need to start reading the books then, because if it's condensed for your viewing pleasure, I don't want all of that anger.
I know you're about to talk about something. You haven't read the books?
No, I haven't.
Don't have that reaction then, because believe me, as a book reader, the turn on that is there.
Allow me to have the reaction first before you decide whether or not I'm allowed to have it. Okay.
Not allowed.
I need to read the books because I just marathoned the entirety of season 5 yesterday.
Oh, okay. So it's still fresh on you.
It is still fresh in my memory, and I hurt. I'm not. No spoilers whatsoever. All I'm going to say is...
I think I read... I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want you guys' reaction, but while I was watching E3 coverage, people were just fucking throwing GOT spoilers up into that shit. Maybe it was real and maybe it wasn't.
It's not... It's not one thing. It's all of the things, and they all happen.
The spoiler is the series ended.
One of the coolest things about the end of Game of Thrones for the TV show is that the main 3 plot points are still. That's where they ended in the books. I am overjoyed because now I am at a point where I can have an honest conversation with people who have just seen the show, and be like, now we can talk about stuff. Because what happens now?
Yeah.
Because these 3 cliffhangers are still there. They resolved one of them kind of weird, and they resolved another one kind of weird, and it wasn't really the same. But those 3 big ones, it's still that's what I understand it. And you're like, yeah.
Okay.
I need to read the books then, because having all of that happen in a short period of time, I probably need my despair and dismay spread out across 5 books.
That was sort of
the problem with that last.
Let's jump back. Let's jump back to the Red Wedding, because it's been long enough that we can talk about that now.
We can.
That was sort of a similar thing where you're like, oh shit, this character died. I really like them. Oh, and that one. Oh, and that one. Oh, they all just what the fuck? So that was a similar kind of reaction.
Exactly.
In most series, you get your hits spread out because they want to hit those beats sparingly. And Game of Thrones doesn't give a shit.
No.
It's if this is where all your favorite characters die, they're all gonna die,
and they're all going to die at the same fucking time.
Yeah.
And it's not just I really like that character. Oh damn it, now they're dead. It's not just that. It's actual other things that are happening.
Firefly kind of did that in Serenity when Wash died. It was probably your favorite character.
Yeah.
A lot of people love... If it wasn't your favorite, you loved Wash. Wash gets killed really quick, and Zoe is like, baby, and I think it's Mal, basically says, we don't have time to mourn now.
Come on.
They leave.
And you as a viewer do not have time to mourn now.
And it just keeps going.
But Wash is dead, and any of these people are next. And so in the coming scenes... Someone gets stabbed in the spine. Someone gets shot in the chest. Someone else starts poisoned up, and you don't know who's going to make it.
Ice and Fire has done that so many times, I no longer like any characters.
I've been Team White Walker since the Red Wedding, so fuck everyone.
Man, and I will say this, is that some of the White Walker scenes in Season 5 do not happen in the books, and they are...
Okay.
Yes.
So good.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are so good.
Well, I'm halfway through that, and I haven't seen one yet.
Well, you haven't even tried. When was the last time you saw an episode, Steven? How interesting that is.
Okay.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
We're going to...
I don't watch it.
We're going to stop chasing rabbits now.
Yeah.
But we're going to... I'm going to bring up a little thing for you guys. Mike pointed out that the world's most lifelike bionic hand has been developed by manufacturer Steeper.
Looks good.
And I'm going to show you now an image of it.
Oh.
There is
Look at
the hand. Yay.
Not very far from Deus Ex.
Yeah.
No. Looks pretty much like Deus Ex. They started with instead of starting with the tech and then modeling a hand after it, they went reverse and started with the hand model and then tech after it. So it is extremely precise. It can hold up to 99 pounds, I think they said.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but I want my appendages to be titanium,
Super.
adamantium, vibranium, unobtainium.
Whatever. Transform.
I want it to block bullets for me. Is what I want.
You want to Yeah, you want to do that.
Look, look, companies, if you're expecting me to cut off my hand for
For
you,
you, I'm gonna need some superhuman shit. But that's exactly it. I have a running thing where I have offered to lop off my left hand for a proper Deus Ex style aesthetic or prosthetic.
It'll happen.
Aesthetic of the prosthetic.
It'll start happening.
Transhumanism, step your game up.
Second, did you hear about the Norwegian man who spent 6 years crocheting?
no.
No?
That sounds like a fucking joke. I'm waiting for the
6 years
punchline.
crocheting,
Oh,
Holy
and
crap.
here
oh,
is his final.
oh,
That's fucking impressive.
oh my god.
6 years making that.
Oh
Apparently,
my God.
part of what took so long, this is from the Nerdist, is that all of his yarn, and he used yarn, so that thing's heavy as fuck.
Wow.
He needed the colors to be absolutely exact.
And they
so
are.
anything that was off, water, anything that was, he'd have to go find
Looks
a new
like the
yarn.
Super Nintendo version.
No, that's 3.
Yeah, they re-released 3 from Mario All-Stars.
For Mario All-Stars, I think
What?
that's the 8-bit version. Yeah, in
I
Mario
remember
All-Stars,
that,
they
actually. I do
16-bitted
remember
all
that.
of those games, actually. But I think it's the NES version.
It doesn't matter which version. I fucking
It's
love it.
still very,
That
very,
is
very well done.
beautiful.
Props to you. I'm going to take
Well,
a stab
you could
at
make it in
his
about
name.
6 years.
Take a stab at it, Steven.
I'm going to take a stab.
Once we find it.
Ketil Norden.
Ketil Norden.
Ketil Norden.
Ketil Norden.
With the J
Good job.
is actually kind of a Y.
Good job, Norden.
Ketil Norden.
I would spend. I know it took you 6 years, but I'm going to say I'd spend $300 and buy that. If that was $299.99, I'd consider buying it.
Yeah.
More than that, less than that, woo! You know.
Yeah.
That thing would go.
Listen to that. Ooh.
That thing would go on my couch, like.
He's going to hang it.
Yeah, you put that on the wall.
I would
It's a
hang it
drapery.
too. I would hang it too.
Yeah.
Man, what a piece in your apartment. Like, whoa, that's really cool. That's from right, man. That's neat. Oh man, this looks knitted. He's like, yeah, I knitted it.
Yeah, I made it.
Oh,
my God.
It took me 6 fucking years.
Yeah.
And I hate it. And I love it and I hate it.
They're like, oh, this goddamn tapestry again.
Okay, we're going to end with our traditional fill in the blank.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
you know,
not gonna look.
don't let
Tradition.
Okay. LA
Tradition.
woman accused of killing boyfriend with blank.
Ooh.
An LA
Wait,
woman
who?
accused of killing her
A
boyfriend with what?
Southern California woman has been charged with beating her boyfriend to death with blank.
SoCal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was originally going to say love, but when you said beat him to death, I think that's...
She beat him to death.
beat him to death with
Blank.
Man.
If you are in the chat and you want to fill in that blank,
I'm sorry I can't
feel
monitor.
free to toss up. We'll give you the prerequisite 30 seconds amount of time to
I'm going to say
come back with this.
his Call of Duty Edition Xbox.
Oh fuck.
It's her. She beat him to death with his Call of Duty edition Xbox.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a horrible way to go. Fuck you and your little 362.
You mad, bro?
You should have gone last. I was gonna say her Coach Purse.
Her coach purse, she beat her
Yeah,
to
this
death.
is
Built
SoCal.
strong.
Yeah.
Like where in SoCal? Are we talking like OC over here? Is that what's going on?
Of Lake Los Angeles.
Lake Los Angeles. I've never heard of it. Okay, so we might actually be dealing with normal people.
Okay. Well, maybe her cat.
Cat's good.
Glass dildo.
With a glass dildo.
Glass.
That's good. Those things
They probably
they'd
don't
probably kill you.
Yeah, probably would.
That would probably kill you, yeah.
I imagine that would murder you.
Yeah.
Southern California woman has been charged with beating her boyfriend to death with canned food.
Yeah. Okay. Full disclosure. While he was sitting there, trying to put everything away, I actually got a look at it. So
okay.
I had to say something that wasn't actually the answer.
Okay. Yes, she struck her 59-year-old boyfriend, David Ruiz, in the head with a can of peas, a can of carrots, and a can of chicken broth. And
Make your goddamn soup.
I'm laughing.
Dinner yourself.
I am laughing at the death of a human being, and you can call me heartless or whatever, but this is how I deal with trauma. So, She needed not one but three.
Do you think
Well,
she
like, was
threw
she
them?
like throwing them, or like ting ting ting? This one's not good enough anymore.
I think it went
Something
ting
else.
ting skloosh. Oh, ting ting. Okay, let's grab it. What else do we have here?
Well, this is a conversation I had. You know, like one of the things.
I'm not a monster.
What is dinner tomorrow?
Well, one of the things that, believe it or not, I actually kind of like seeing is when the good guy has the bad guy, like he's down on the ground and the good guy's got the gun on him, and he just like slowly pulls the trigger until the gun is empty, right? Because like sometimes he's like, ah! And sometimes he's just like the most stone cold motherfucker there. And either way, the good guy is just broken. But sometimes I'm like you pull it off really well, and it looks really cool. No,
How did that relate?
how did that relate? Is send help? How does that relate? We just got through talking about how this
Maybe you
chick.
couldn't see that. Is what they said.
Maybe that's precisely what happened. This chick had a bunch of canned food right there, and he just kept beating him to like senseless with this can, and it popped. But instead of taking that time to realize, oh, maybe I should probably calm down, she says, "Fuck it," goes for another can. And continues to beat him to death. And then when that can pops, instead of taking that opportunity to go, maybe I should think about this.
So you're saying that she put a can in the barrel and pulled the trigger.
She had to reload.
She put a whole magazine of cans
Yeah.
in that gun and just pulled the trigger until it went click.
I think that what we have.
That's a really good point, Chuck.
Good point, Chuck.
I
We're
like
your
that.
friends.
That's good. I'm sorry for what I said to you earlier, man.
What?
Yeah, but you are, John.
To get your Butterfinger out of the cabinet.
You turned it to
We're
somebody
actually
else when you're
fine.
hungry.
Yeah,
We're
no,
okay.
we're fine. We're good. We're good. Don't swat us.
You have to allow me a little bit of misanthropy every once in a while, hanging around with.
No,
Alexa
actually,
Easter.
I actually like those scenes too, where it's someone so blinded by rage that they don't really know what they're doing.
Or
in
they're
movies,
just snapped.
in movies.
Yeah.
I am sorry that this man died. Probably, or maybe he's an asshole. I don't know.
Hey.
If he was a dick, I really don't give a shit.
When a clump of dirt falls into the ocean, the whole of England is lost. No man is
From
an
Lord of the
island.
Rings.
Yes, that's from Lord of the goddamn Rings.
Okay.
Therefore, ask
What?
not for whom the bell tolls, for
Wait
it
a
tolls for
second.
thee.
Oh, Futurama.
Yes, Futurama, exactly.
God
God.
bones for me.
See, this is why my name is Byronic Commando. I'm the classical
What if
literature
Lord of the
guy.
Rings- How did England exist in Lord of the Rings?
I'm going to fucking punch you in the face.
What am I getting at here? Yeah. So, canned food. That's a bummer.
What a
That's-
shitty way to go.
That's not my
Did it
preferred
say
method
why
of.
she did it?
No, it didn't.
Okay.
They just said she beat him to death with 3 cans of
Whatever.
soup ingredients.
But that's the tone here. Is we laugh at tragedy.
No, they laugh at tragedy. I try to kind of downplay it a little bit.
Well, not every tragedy, not every tragedy. But the next week on the Angry Cuddles podcast, I am going to try, and as I've mentioned before, the band members of the local band Moonlight Native have expressed interest in coming by and talking about their Elder Scrolls Online group.
Yeah.
Talking to us about ESO and MMOs and
But more
probably some music. Memorpagis.
Memorpagers?
We will. This pretty much concludes our E3 coverage in totality. So go look up some stuff. We all really did win. I posted this on Angry Cuddles. Is that whether you're PS4, Xbox, PC, there's a lot of really impressive announcements.
Or Nintendo, I guess.
So go out and game and enjoy. And if you're watching, follow us down there at the bottom. Press that little heart button. Follow us. If you're listening to the podcast, you can watch us live on Twitch at twitch.tv/angrycuddles. And our webcomic is at angrycuddles.com. My name is Steven.
This is Mike.
I'm Chuck.
This is John.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Hail Satan!